Hi, this is Reddit Confessions channel. There are moments in life when time seems to slow down, not in the poetic, cinematic way, but in a way that makes you feel like the universe itself is forcing you to absorb every second. This was one of those moments. Lorna stood in front of the hallway mirror, adjusting the strap of her red dress. Her reflection smirked back at her. She barely glanced at me as she picked up her purse and casually tossed out the words that would turn my world upside down. I'm going on a date. Try not to get too jealous. For a split second, I thought I had misheard her. Maybe this was some bizarre, twisted joke, but then I saw the way she shifted her weight, the way she deliberately avoided my gaze, and I realized this wasn't a joke. My mouth went dry, and my fingers gripped the edge of the kitchen counter as my mind scrambled for an explanation. I needed something to make sense of the absurdity of what I had just heard. "Excuse me," I said finally, my voice surprisingly steady. Lorna let out a soft sigh, as though she was already tired of the conversation. "You heard me," she said, flipping her hair over her shoulder. "I have plans tonight with someone else." It wasn't just the words. It was how she said them. So effortlessly, so unapologetically, as if this was completely normal. As if she had every right to stand in front of me, wearing the dress I had bought for her, and announce that she was going on a date. The word hit me like a punch to the gut. I should have yelled. I should have demanded answers. I should have done something. But all I could do was stand there, staring at the woman I thought I knew, realizing in real time that I didn't know her at all. I forced a slow breath. "I suppose you expect me to just accept this?" Her lips curved into a smirk, again the same smirk that used to feel playful and charming, but now it felt cruel. "I expect you to be an adult about it," she said, as if explaining something obvious. "We've been together for years, right? Marriage gets boring. I just want to experience more options." I let out a breathless laugh, but there was no humor in it. My pulse was pounding in my ears, but outwardly, I was calm. Too calm. "So let me get this straight," I said, my voice level. "You're just openly seeing someone else now, without discussion, without even pretending to care what I think." She shrugged, as if she was talking about returning a sweater she didn't like. "I figured you'd find out sooner or later," she said. "So why hide it? It's not like I'm leaving you." That's when something inside me clicked. I had been standing on the edge of denial, waiting for her to give me a reason to believe this was some kind of misunderstanding. But it wasn't. Lorna wasn't sorry. She wasn't even hesitant. She had already made her decision. Now it was my turn to make mine. And something told me that by the time the night was over, she wouldn't be smirking anymore. I watched her standing there, adjusting her dress in the mirror, as if nothing was wrong, as if she hadn't just shattered the very foundation of our marriage with a casual smirk and a few thoughtless words. A date. She was going on a date with someone else. My heartbeat was eerily steady, my mind sharper than it should have been in a moment like this. Part of me was waiting for anger to explode, to take over, to shake the walls of this house with the force of my reaction. But it didn't come. Not yet. Instead, I felt awake. I had spent the last few years in a comfortable haze, moving through life like a man who thought he had it all figured out. I wasn't the guy who checked his wife's phone, or questioned her whereabouts, or played the role of the paranoid, jealous husband. I trusted her. I had no reason not to until now. Lorna sighed, turning her gaze back to me, clearly irritated that I hadn't reacted in the way she expected. "What's the matter?" she said, shifting her purse to the other shoulder. "You're acting weird." Weird? I wanted to laugh. Maybe I even did. It was a dry, empty sound leaving my throat. "How long?" I asked instead, my voice eerily even. "How long what?" I gave her a slow, pointed look. "How long have you been doing this behind my back?" Lorna rolled her eyes, as if I were being dramatic, as if it just asked her something as mundane as what was for dinner. "Don't be like that," she said, waving a dismissive hand. "It's not a big deal. Not a big deal." The words bounced around my skull, echoing over and over until I wasn't sure if I had even heard them right. I inhaled deeply, gripping the back of the chair in front of me. "Not a big deal," I repeated, tilting my head. "You walking out that door, meeting another man, letting him touch you the way I do, that's not a big deal." Her lips parted slightly, like she was about to say something, but then she hesitated. Just for a second. Just enough for me to see it, the flicker of guilt buried beneath all that arrogance. But just as quickly as it appeared, it was gone. She rolled her shoulders back, her usual smugness returning in full force. "I didn't say it wasn't important," she said, her voice smooth and controlled. "I'm just saying that this is life. People evolve, relationships change, and frankly, you should be grateful in being honest about it." Grateful. The sheer audacity of it made my jaw tighten. I studied her, taking in the way she looked at me, like I was beneath her, like she had already moved past this moment, past me, past everything we had built together. And that's when I knew she had been preparing for this moment. Maybe not this exact conversation, but the moment when she would finally stop pretending, when she would finally say the words out loud, finally make it real. I took a slow step forward. She didn't flinch, didn't look away. "You're not the woman I married," I said quietly. Her smirk widened, like she had been waiting for me to say that. "Of course not," she said, her tone light and casual. "People change. I've changed. Maybe you should, too." It was like she was talking to a stranger, like I was the one being unreasonable here. I exhaled through my nose, keeping my emotions locked down. "And what exactly do you expect me to do with this information, Lorna?" Her brows lifted, as if the answer was obvious. "I expect you to accept it." She took another step toward the door, glancing at her watch, checking the time, like this was just another appointment in her day. Like this was just another obligation she had to get through before moving on to more exciting things. She had already made up her mind. And now so had I. I straightened my posture, going rigid, my hands unclenching. "Go," I said simply. That caught her off guard. Her head tilted slightly, her lips parting in surprise. She hadn't expected that. "You're okay with this?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. I smiled, not the kind of smile she was used to. "No, I'm not," I admitted. "But you already made your choice. Now it's my turn." Lorna hesitated, her fingers twitching slightly at her side. For the first time tonight, she looked nervous. Good. She turned without another word and walked out the door, leaving behind a silence so thick it felt suffocating. I didn't move for a long time. Didn't rage, didn't break anything. I just stood there, my mind racing faster than it ever had before. Because whilst she thought she was the one in control of this situation, she had no idea what was coming next. And by the time I was finished, she wouldn't be smirking anymore.